I really appreciate all the comments from the last video. I think you guys were just spot on with your train of thought. And well, back at it today. Pulled the push rods, rockers, and the spider, or whatever you want to call it, the bone. Found a problem right away. Part of my BB problem is these lifters have an oil hole in them. Now this lifter will technically go in this way or this way, but if you've put that oil hole facing the exhaust manifold, these will bleed down if you let them sit for any length of time. Then when you start them up, they'll be really noisy. Now I just pulled this one out and that's how it was facing. I don't know if they're all like that or not. Now see, this one here was facing the right way. And this one, the wrong way. This one, the wrong way. So he just popped these in here. This one the right way. He didn't know anything about that oil hole, which way it faced. Lifters look really good. The rollers, all of them. This motor, when he bought it, the remanufactured motor, he added the cam himself to it, the cam and lifters. But the lifters look really good. But once again, there's your oil hole. You want this pointed toward the camshaft, not toward the exhaust manifold. To get that cam out of there, I had to take that radiator out. Still didn't quite have enough room, so I had to loosen this up and slide this forward a good 1.5 inches, and then the guy was able to get it out of there. Cam bearings look good. Of course, this is a newer motor, and here's the cam. Cam looks great. It's a competition cam. I got it upside down there for you. It's a competition cam. And here's the bronze gear. Everything's in good shape. I just don't want this in my daily driver because these will put little bitty gold flakes in your oiling system, and that's just not for me. So I was able to, I hear my fire alarm. My wife's cooking. I'll just ignore that. Anyways, I got the oil pan off without unloosening the motor mounts and raising the engine up. Funny thing is, I worked with it like a puzzle, couldn't get it, and I thought, well, what's the best way, inside or underneath, to get the motor mounts? I got underneath to look at, and the thing, like someone threw it at me, came right at my head and landed on the ground. So here is the oil pan and the oil. Just about what we expected. When I loosened that drain plug, nothing but clear water came out for about, just for a few seconds, just pure. Looked like you could drink it. So we're gonna go over everything, leaving no stone unturned. So let's go over all the evidence we have laid out. Let's start from the very beginning. When I bought it, let's start from there. When I bought it, it was ticking on top. I thought I found the problem. These comp rollers just wobbled on there like that. Unbelievable. So I thought, that's the issue. So I put factory rockers on there, and that did help it some, but I still had a tick, which I think I found the rest of it when they had these oil holes turned down. But then I go to start it, and I didn't put very many miles on this. By the way, when I put these rockers on, there were no moisture in the valve covers, none. So here's your pressure relief right here. This slides this way just to make sure you don't build up too much pressure. That's got a spring in there. Well, these bronze gear shavings, they've been known to do this to others, and it did it to me. It gets inside here and sticks that open, you lose your pressure. So I did lose oil pressure, and I started up and the oil pressure gauge didn't rise, and I thought, okay. First thing I suspect on any small block Mopar is the gauge. I went to do this cam swap, and you guys saw the last surprise, all the moisture in there. So let's go step by step. Now that you know the beginning, let's look at what we found so far. We know that this right here is the suspect. And if you look inside here, this is the guts of your impeller inside your oil pump. I took it apart, see? Just 5 bolts there. Take the cover off. Cover's like that. Pull this out and pull this out. If you look right inside there, see it? See those little specks? I can catch it with my fingernail. Those specks, right there, right where my fingernail's pointing. See my fingernail bending on that? That's probably some of the bronze smashing itself into the wall of this from the impeller. They've used a good oil pump, by the way. USA Melling. No question the motor was new. So, take a gawk down here, and you can see the oil. You can see the moisture in it, and right now that's my greatest concern. I'm gonna fix this setup. I got a different cam for it and a regular gear for it. I did pop a main cap off. Main caps actually look good. There's a little bit of scuffing you can see there, and I'm not sure if that isn't from when I started it up with no oil pressure. The crank looks awesome. I think them are usable. The real deal is where is this water coming from? I think we just need to give it some thought. So most of the time it's my body that does the working and my mind gets to rest, but when I come to my think about it table, my body gets the rest and my brain has to go to work. And I'm looking at all the clues, and you guys help me follow this through. There's rust. These are the factory rockers I put on. There's rust on there. Normally, antifreeze don't go in there and start rusting components like that unless it's been in there for years and years. But why is this rusting? That's one thing. Why wasn't if I had a head gasket out or something like that, why wasn't my temperature gauge playing games? It wasn't. Oil pressure was good. The engine had lots of power. No surging, no missing. I tell you, antifreeze, nice and clean and green. Radiator was full. But all that moisture. I don't know. I just can't come up with anything that makes any sense. Chips are starting to get stale. One thing of noteworthy, the PVC valve that's an important system in keeping moisture and stuff out of your engine, your crankcase. He had this teed in. This would go to the back of the carburetor. There's your PVC valve. Then he's got it teed in to this hose, which is tees off to some other things. Just putting it out there, part of the detective work. Also, once it lost oil pressure and I pulled the distributor to prime it and saw that there was a bronze gear, I pretty much didn't put hardly but a couple of miles on it after that. But I did start it up occasionally and move it around when I needed to move the van. Rare, but I did. Looks like everything was sealed up really well. I found no evidence of water escaping, getting in the oil. Every time I go to talk, a semi has to go by. I don't know what he used on this. JB Weld is what I'm assuming, because I can't get that off with nothing. Them intake gaskets. But he didn't build the actual block. Block he bought. The remanufactured block. He just put his own intake on it. I don't know. If it was a cracked head, wouldn't it build pressure up into the system? Or have a miss or lose power? Not always, I know. Head gasket would be the same symptoms. I'm just not so sure. I just don't want to reseal up what I have apart. Put the different cam in there. Because I don't have evidence that that water is coming the way it was rusting the parts. One other thing you need to see. Come over here. See how clean that looks compared to what it looked? I didn't clean it out. All I done is laid it like this. Next morning, that's what's in there. And look, it's evaporating. There's not near as much as there was. Antifreeze don't evaporate fast. And look how clean and dried up this is. All that condensation is gone. I do have a 318 Magnum that came out of a Dakota. I've never heard that run either. Supposedly it has 134,000 on it and ran good, and I bought it from a guy that wasn't even trying to sell it. Just happened to see it there and he told me the story, and then I made the deal, so he probably told the truth. So I don't know. I really don't want to have the block Magnaflux in the heads. I just don't know. It just keeps eating on the back of my noggin. When I pulled that drain plug, about a half a cup of pure water, looked like you could drink it, came out. So the rusty rockers, clear water coming out when I pulled the oil plug. Coolant level was up in the radiator. Antifreeze nice and clean. Ran really good and had lots of power. It didn't bubble the compression through the radiator system. I tell you, I'm just lost on this one.